Okay, this is going to be a more in-depth overview of exactly how I did all the graphics and basically just going through each of the menu sections on here. I kind of glazed over them at the end of the last video, part 7. This will be part 8. This will be a little more in-depth. If you're already familiar with how all the menus work, you do not want to watch this video. If you're not familiar with the videos or with how all the menus work and how things go back and forth and how you can buy objects and stuff like that, you want to watch this video. I'll go into some depth here. So, given my self-imposed time limits here, I'm trying to keep these under 15, really no more than 20. So I'll go into what I did with fireworks, and you can use your own video editing, whatever, graphics editing program, but this is how I do it. It's probably not the most efficient, probably not the best way to do it, but it's what I grew up on, it's what I know, so it's how I do it. If you got some better ideas, please leave comments. I'll take them and I'll check stuff out, but this is, there's no learning curve for this to me because I already know it, so it's pretty easy. With that, I would also like to say that I have a new 4K monitor and I recently upgraded to Windows 10 for the better support with the pixels. I got a 32-inch 4K monitor. It absolutely rocks, but Fireworks CS5 was not built for the 4K. I mean, it was built years ago. It was not built for 4K monitors of mine, so the fonts are a little ugly, but it still gets the job done. So if it looks ugly at the end of the day, that's why. It's the 4K monitor and Windows 10 and fonts not working properly. Now I will take, let's go and look at let's go look at the main menu. I'm not going to look at the game over because that's towards the end. So the main menu, I'll go here and Alt-1. You'll hear me say things like Alt-1 or Control-V, number 1, 3, C, things like that. That usually means that's what I'm hitting on the keyboard. I'm just trying to let you know what I'm doing to follow along. So I'm going to quickly show you how we're going to tear this menu apart and put it together back in the other program. So I did a mock-up in here, just laid it out the way I wanted it. This is the off one, so I just set that off to the side, but I said, okay, these colors look okay. I've got my artist wife to say, yeah, the colors look fine, or they're okay, at least acceptable, and that's that. I did decide earlier, though, that I wanted to change this to all caps. So we will do that now, since I'm here anyway. I'm going to redo all these. I'm going to change the kerning a little bit to say, they're just a little too tight for me. There, perfect. So, to get this, now that I've got it laid out, I designed it the way I wanted it. Now I need to break it apart to get it into build box. So on the keyboard, Control-C, Control-N, and it's going to automatically change the width and the height to match the maximum size of whatever it is I have on the clipboard right now. So I have the tap to start on my clipboard and I hit Control-N, that means a new document, and it's going to automatically size it to whatever I have on my clipboard. And then I just hit enter, and there it is, and then I can hit Control-V and it pastes it. And you can't really see that because it's white text. So I will change the canvas color to something else, and there you can see tap to start, and it fits perfectly inside of that box. Now Control-Z to undo the canvas, and then I just Control-S, find out where I want it to be. This was main menu, and this was for click to start, which was, I think I tapped to start. There you go. Do I want to replace it? It's asking me, and I will say yes, and there it is. So now when I go into my browser, FNView or XNView, I should see tap to start, and now it's all caps. So there it is. Easy enough. So moving on to the next one, I go back to, where was it? Where did I pull it up at? Let's see. Is it here? Yep, that was here. So I got it all the way at the beginning. I shouldn't have done that. Anyway, irregardless. So control, in here now I want to do the GWON or GWON, not sure how you're going to say that yet. Control copy. So Control-C, Control-N, enter, Control-V, Control-S, and that's it. It's got it untitled, and then I could immediately type GWON logo just so it doesn't, I already have it up here, but I don't want to overwrite it just because I've already done it. and then boom, that one's done. I can close it and I got the logo off of there. If I want to do this back piece, I've been doing these a little bit differently. Control C, Control N, enter, Control V, slide down, deselect everything so that I get the canvas properties down here. Come up, select that color, then reselect the object, delete, then resize the canvas, change it to just 10 pixels. Show you why in a little bit, and then Control S, and we can say that is, we'll call that BG strip, background strip. Boom, easy enough. So that's my workflow. I just keep going through like that, and that's how I kind of create the graphics. Probably not the best way to do it for everyone, but it works really well for me. I get through it pretty quickly. It was taking me about 1 hour to get a complete mock-up done, and that's a lot of me going back and forth with colors, and then that also included getting it set, getting it all torn apart and then built back together within BuildBox. So speaking of that, come into main menu, get this out of the way, get this out of the way. In fact, I'll just delete this and I'll show you how I kind of did this. Same with that. I'll leave the other stuff because there's no real benefit to that. So back to this handy thing. There's the strip that I saved, and I'll add that in as an image, and then within here I just grab on this little handle and pull it, and that's that slate color. It's making that slate colored background that I have on it. So you can see over here it got deleted off. Now watch, restart, and there's that slate background. All I did was stretch that image out, and boom, there it is. And then I do the same thing for, let's find that color. And the only reason I make them 10 pixels wide instead of like 1 or 2 pixels is so that it's easier to grab in here and push around. And literally there it is. I'll probably come back and tweak these some more down the road, but for now that's it. Cool. GWON, and this is my restart to start game. Invisible button. Alright, so I was having a bit of trouble with the, I'm going to push this over for a sec, with the stick to edge, which I should change. So when I was going to iPad 2, this is where it was giving me trouble. If I had stick to, and I'll just go ahead and change it on one of these, stick to edge, and then I refresh. Watch this. Refresh. And then it gets pushed up and it looks all silly, and it was taking a lot of like trial and error and seeing what's going on, and then it'll look really great on an iPhone 5. It's exactly where I want it to be if I leave it with stick to edge. So that was getting really frustrating for me. And the way this would work better is if I wanted to have this exactly at the top and then do stick to edge. It looks great in here and it's exactly where I want it to be. But then when you go to iPad 2, it gets all pushed and jacked around, and you can see it's not anywhere where it's supposed to be. It actually looks good, but let's push this up and put stick to edge, and you will see, so iPad 2, stick to edge, but then you go iPhone 5, and it looks good pushing top to bottom. But then when you start adding all this other stuff in and you switch back to iPad 2, it's not going to look so good. Here, I'm going to do it real quick just so you can see what it looks like. But that's going to mean I'm going to pause it real quick. So this is where I was hitting my frustration. So here is iPhone 5, and I apologize, you're not going to be able to see it all on the screen. Unless I shrink here, I'll go 75% so you can see it all. So the tap to start's a little bit off, not a big deal. If I change it to iPad 2, it kind of goes center, but not exactly how I wanted it. So it's the... how to explain that? It really feels like it's interpolating on its own exactly how to render this display for me, and I just don't like the way the results are coming out, because like that one's perfectly centered, it looks good, and then I go to iPhone 5 and it's not quite centered, it looks a little bit off, almost like I didn't plan it that way, and it was just kind of driving me a little bit nuts. I might be able to play with it and get it to a satisfactory state, but right now I'm not too terribly happy with it. But if I lay it out and I take the stick to edge off of everything, then however it is on this side of the screen is exactly how it's going to show up over here. So what I was doing was just putting it in iPad 2 mode and then making sure that it fit within there all the way to the upper limit to the bottom limit, and that as long as everything was in there and it looked the way I wanted to, then when I go full screen it was the same size. There was just larger top and bottom portions left off. So now I'm going to change it back to the way it was, and you'll see what that looks like. Okay, I think I got everything back. I'm going to go ahead and refresh now, and you'll see it still looks good. Everything's centered exactly where I want it. It looks exactly like it does over here because I don't have stick to edge on anything. But then when I go to iPad 2, I get that. It's off screen. I can't see it all. And this actually came back from the developer last time because I forgot to check iPad 2 on one of the screens. And he said, hey, it looks like trash on the screen. You might want to fix it. So I did. And here I can tell that the bottom of the text there is about where it cuts off at, so I'm going to line this up with just the bottom of the text on GWON. And I'm going to pause this. I'll let it run. And then pull this down, get it centered perfectly. Put my touch on there. That looks probably good. Pull these up because you can see you can barely see them down there. Pull that up. Pull that down. Pull that down, pull that down. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'll come back and fix it. Anyway, get the idea. Top and bottom. Refresh now. It's all on the screen. I can see it all there. And even if I go to iPhone 5, which is the biggest, it's still all there. It's still centered on the screen the way I want it to. It's still relationally the same distances away from each other. So I just accepted that there's going to be a gap at the top and a gap at the bottom. The game still looks playable, and it doesn't look like there's any glitches, and things don't look off-centered from the top to the bottom. So that's my solution. Okay, and like I said, I'll come back and clean this up later. Moving on, I said I'd get into a little bit of gameplay. What you just missed right there, I'm going to pause it. Pause the, okay, I'm not going to. I'll click restart, and it takes us back to the main menu, and if you saw it right there, it was a, I'm going to pause now. First thing we did there was we got this points, and I'll move it off a little bit so we don't run straight into it. I'll hit it. Let's continue. Let's go restart. We'll restart the game. So that 2,500 points just immediately gives me some money to spend. That's not going to be in the real game, and you can kind of see the physics working. And the red ones, they kill. And if you notice, if you look at the bottom, everything's disappearing as soon as it gets a little bit below there. See, dies, disappears, disappears. And I hit a red one. So what's happening there is it's running off the back of the screen, and I need to fix that in settings for that back delete threshold. I put a little too much on it before, or not enough available there, so we're going to change that to 300. And then also what I wanted to do was game frame settings. So I wanted to move this down and change it to red so that if the player goes back off the screen, they die. And that's just because of the sticky issue I was having before, and this is my solution for that. Deal with it. I'll play with it some more and see if I can fix it later. But boom, you run off, you die that way. I don't really like that, but that's all I can do for now. So let's see the strike move. Let's admit. Oh, I hit it first. All right, try that again. All right, strike and go. Ah, I missed it again. Dang it. And we'll just do it through here. 3, 2, 1. Strike. Boom. Push through. Oh, and I still hit something over there. What did I hit? Oh, I got it. So, go back in here. We're going to pause this time. And I want to show the pause screen. So, pause, tap to continue, menu, restart, shop, power up, 7,500. So, here you can buy these, and you can see the money's counting down here. I couldn't figure out a way to show how many you have available currently. Seems like a pretty easy thing to add in, but I couldn't figure out how to do it. So here we go. You can buy some power-ups and then tap to continue, and we got this. We can kill all the bad guys, killed all the enemies. Then we can play around. We got some fixed, some are not fixed. And then we got invincibility. That doesn't last very long, so we'll be careful. More invincibility. See if we can, we didn't kill it all. Now I'll run through it one time with the debug mode on so you can kind of see what's going on with these. And I haven't changed any of the collision shapes yet, so let's rock it through here. There's the killer ones. And again, they're all going to be squares because I haven't changed any of them. The circles will get changed to circles, but you can kind of see what the collision shapes are doing. And you can see right there, I just hit bad guy. So kind of neat. But anyway, talk a little more about the collision editor or the debug editor maybe some other time. But right now this is about the menus. So I'll go ahead and finish up talking about how I did the menus for purchasing and whatnot. So game field, that was pretty easy. These I want to talk about. So to use these, I added them in as actions. And actually I need to, so we'll back it up a little. So over here in the action section, I had to drag them in. I think I showed that in an earlier video. We dragged them in here and we set them to the action type, kill all enemies. Just because I name it kill all doesn't mean it's going to kill all enemies. You have to actually select the action type over here. We got that. I'm Control S before I lose everything. Sometimes I get a bad feeling that it's about to crash, but it's not crashing. So okay, there you go. So that's how I added in kill all enemies. We're just going to take that one for an example. You can figure out the rest. Invincible has invincibility selected. Strike has strike selected. But kill all, I added that in as an action in the action items, and then in the menu editor in the game field to use that action, I dropped the same image. I dropped the image from my browser over here. I dragged it in just like anything else, and I added it in as an action button. So what that does is makes it available as, and I could say up here, action selection, which one. So you can see this is kill all. It's not kill all enemies. It's going to do whatever the kill all action is. So I can come back here, and this doesn't save state. So kill all action, kill all enemies is the name of this. So if I could rename that to whatever I want, and that's what I need to select. When I select this over here, I need to select the kill all. Did the same thing for the other two, and then for the red marks, I offset them here. If you don't, they should show up right on top of them, a little bit raised up. So I changed the offset marks to go down, and stick to edge I did enable on this one because if I want it to show up right on the edge of the bottom of every screen while the user's playing. I don't want it to show up in the middle of the screen, so it just made sense to leave it here. Okay, so that's how you add them to the screen, and this is where you actually use them during gameplay. So in gameplay, let me get back over here. You can see in gameplay, if I select that, it kills all the enemies. All the red guys died. And that's all that's doing. Okay, going back to here. So from, let's say you die, you get the pause screen. The pause screen, you can go to the shop. You'll see how many buttons you have, and that's what we're looking at right now. So I have on this one, I also have the action selection. I dragged this onto the screen and made it I believe it was a purchase button. Let me try that again. So this would be a purchase button, yes. So I did it as a purchase button. I attached it to that kill all action again from the main screen, and the type is going to be action, so you can do remove ads. And then you can set a value for it. So I'm going to delete it now. I just wanted to show you how to add it. And here I set the price, in-game currency. You could do an in-app purchase and set it up that they have to pay for it, but that's a little silly for just a kill all enemies button or action. So price 200, in-game currency. That's what it's going to cost. You can select buy and use, and then it will immediately take effect, but I don't want that. I just want quantity 1, price 200, and that's really all that's important here. Again, like I said, I couldn't show a way to say how many of these units they have, how many kill alls they have available, so at least to show the user that something was happening, I added in the text block to show coins amount so they could see that decreasing, and you can demo that right here, so they're at least going, okay, I'm buying something. I don't know how many I have, but I'm buying something. An intelligent person would come back to the screen and they could count up how many they have. Okay, I have 6, go pause, now I have 7, 8, 9, 10, and go continue, and now they have 10, yay. So that is, it's kind of how that's working. It's actually pretty neat. I kind of like it. There's a couple of things I can't do, or I haven't figured out that I do wish it could do. Yes. Okay, game over screen, and again, like I said, this is here was dragged in as a button and given an action of back, which actually takes the user back to the home screen. If I wanted them to immediately start playing again, it would be restart game. That's not restarting the whole. If you had a game with checkpoints, that would also start you from the last checkpoint if you hit restart game, or restart checkpoint rather. Anyway, irregardless, every one of these is going to take them back. I want them to be able to have that option. I want them to see that they can have more characters when there's more characters available, which I plan to add. And then that way they'll know that they can spend their money, they can change characters, and they can have fun with that. So that's why I did that. And these are just graphics that I added, plain graphics on top. May change these a little bit for the color schemes, but this is very basic. Put the score and the best score. And again, you can see that. I'll just die real quick. Score to best 22. Okay, running along. I'm already at 20 minutes. Covered shop. So the shop screen for this one, again, action selection, and I hadn't checked it yet, but it should be 1,000. So I hadn't done that yet. I doubt I did it. I did it on that one, 2,500. I set this one. I didn't set this one. This should be 5,000. So to do the action of 5,000, which if I come back over here and I go to the actions, I'll see the 5,000 here gives the rewards coins 5,000. So it's going to give the person 5,000 coins, and I need to actually change this to coin. And shoot, let me make sure I did it for these two. Didn't do it for that one, and I didn't do it for that one. Okay, well I don't think that mattered because I was getting the coins anyway. So 1,000 for this one gives me the 1,000 reward coins. 2,500 gives me 2,500, and 5,000 gives me 5,000. So what should be noted is that these are never going to go in game because people are never going to be able to get these in the game. I put it on this first one just for testing, for troubleshooting and debugging, but in the real game they're never going to be able to hit one of these three. They're only going to be able to hit the 100, 50, and 10. I could just as easily set these up as purchase options in the shop, but I don't want to. I want to make it a little more enticing for the user to buy them. So action, they're going to buy the 1,000 from that I set up in the action list. And it's going to cost in-game currency, and the price is going to be, we can say, I don't know, 200. I'll come back or actually, sorry, that should not be. That should be in-app purchase, and then the store identifier will determine how much it costs, but it's going to be set up as 99 cents. Boom. And then additionally, I should set that up as a buy and use, so it's immediately available to them and goes immediately into their coin bank. Now what I don't understand is why is this one, okay, there it is, store identifier. It wasn't there for a minute. I was coming back to it and it wasn't there. It is now, so we'll do in-app purchase, and we'll have to, I'll walk through setting that up through the settings and stuff towards the end once we get there. So again, real quick, I have this button. If they click on this, they're going to purchase 5,000 coins because that's tied to the action 5,000 from back here. And the actions where I drug that in and I said that's going to be worth coins and the amount of 5,000. I know that's confusing. That's why I keep going over it. It's a bit to wrap your head around. And if they want that and they click on this, it's going to take them to an in-app purchase, so they're going to get that little pop-up on the screen, and it's going to pull from the store identifier, and it's going to say, that store identifier, it says this is a $2.99 purchase, and once that amount is paid, it's going to come back to the app, and the app's going to say yes, it was paid. Give them that action selection. That action selection was 5,000 coins. So boom, once that comes back as a successful payment, you get the developer gets the money and the user gets 5,000 coins put in, and they can go use those to buy stuff. Again, that's a bit to wrap your head around. The big thing, don't forget to check buy and use. If you use Grandeur, I think they check all these things and make sure that you're set up pretty good. Love Grandeur, those guys do great work. So you won't have to worry about that too much, but just so you know, you do have to check that buy and use when doing in-app purchases. And that's to the best of my knowledge. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. All right, last thing I want to get into, info. That was dumb simple. Like I said before, restore purchases is required to be there by Apple. If you don't have it, your app will get rejected, so make sure you put restore purchases, and make sure that's selected for that. Reset everything resets everything on the entire screen and the entire app. All your scores, all your purchases, everything gets reset like as if you had just installed the app. So be careful with that button, and just make it available to the users. And then the end screen, I'll move this around a little, but basically I just made this very basic. I'll probably make it a little bit better. And actually I will pause. Actually I won't pause, I'll just run over here. I'll make the last screen, second screen. Where did I do that? Oh yeah, so the star makes it, that has a end game set to it, so I'll just hit S to solo this screen and click play, or actually refresh, and it's going to go straight to that screen, so I can click that and you're going to see the game over screen. And again, with the sizing and all that screwed up stuff, I just went ahead and made sure that it was going to fit within every browser, and I just noticed this doesn't actually fit in there. Let's get that in there, and then we can refresh, click, get that star, and done. So share it, click on that, and actually made it this button so that they could, anywhere they hit, even near it, and it's going to go off, but it's going to share, so they can, and then when you go to actually publish your app, it'll say, do you want to share this screen, the one you're looking at right now, or the game over, or the like the last frame of the last screen. And I'll probably choose this one, I guess, just to prove your final score, blah blah blah, whatever. Yeah, that'll be played with later. So rate us. I'll have to click on these. So it goes to review, which is also going to be set up in the back end in your settings later. So all that stuff's going to start getting pulled from back here, and so from Apple iOS, so share message, stuff like that, review link, so where you want the people to go when they click on rate us, which actually will take them to the rate. So all that kind of stuff ties into here, and I'll get into that in another video. For now, just know it's there, and this is kind of how the screen looks for me. And other than that, I think that's it. I'm way over my time limit, so thank you for watching, and I appreciate it. Subscribe, link, rate, I don't know, all that good stuff. Tweet, twit, whatever you want to do. Thank you.